I wanted to do this since the first time I saw this wall. People usually say the hardest route in this game is the silence. And yeah, it's definitely brutal, for sure, but this wall always scared me in a different way. I climbed this section separately before. Every single time I remember thinking, this is insane, this feels different from everything else in the game. And every time I had this idea in the back of my head. What if I did the whole thing in one run? No stopping between sections, just one continuous climb from the bottom to the very top. Before any of that though, preparation. I don't think people give this part enough credit. Food, water, worms, all of it. Because it never fails, it's always the worst possible moment, when your resources run out and you black out of mine climb. I've had that happen before, so this time I actually planned it. I fell here a lot honestly, somewhere around 15-20 attempts over 2 days. A few of these deaths happened because I'd already done section before, separately, and I got comfortable. No buffs, no strength boosts, no chalt. That's the whole point of doing this in this way.
Incoming.
Starting from the very bottom was important to me. If I'm calling this one continuous route, it has to actually start at the bottom, not somewhere convenient. Honestly, for a long time I didn't have the skill for it. I knew exactly what it would demand, technique, and a complete absence of rushing. Not trying not to rush, actually none. This first stretch isn't the hardest part, honestly, but it's easy to underestimate, and that's exactly how it gets you.
Strapping down.
I went slightly right on purpose towards this overhang section. I love climbing overhangs. Something about hanging there fighting gravity just feels incredible for me. It looks intense, but it's more technical than brutal, I would say. You just have to actually calculate your reach instead of guessing. Then, Palace of Wine. This one's deceptive. Once you're standing on the ledge, it looks simple. It's meant to be.
Come on.
This is basically a rest stop before the real climb starts. I stayed it right here too, because I wanted to line up for the white route once I hit Peril wall. That's supposedly the hardest line up there. Not entirely sure, but it felt like it. What people don't expect about this section is that it looks like it's covered in holes. It's shaped like these old fortress, lots of texture, but there really aren't that many actual grips. Then you've got a vine and birds that will knock you off if you get too close to their nest, it's genuinely annoying.
Is Ava a mountaineer or an urban climber? Clearly a bit of both.
But the real danger here isn't a single hard move, it's that your character can slide on their own, not from an obvious stamina drop where the screen darkens and you get a warning, just slips on narrow or slick holes, if you're not paying attention of course. I fell here once in this run, fell here a lot more in earlier attempts, and every single time it was because I was rushing to get through this part so I could save my focus for the hard section ahead, which is backwards honestly. This whole route, if there is one thing it taught me, is that difficult isn't always about one impossible move. Sometimes it's about staying locked in for a long stretch without a single lapse. You can't always find a stable spot to just breathe. Sometimes you have to keep moving to stay in control at all. And if you rush because you are tired of concentrating, that's exactly when it costs you everything.
I could have been a decent cave painter, actually.
At the end of this section, right before the real wall starts, I stopped and just looked up. This is where I was pretty sure the white route was, the hardest line. I wasn't rushing this section. If I get it wrong here, there might not be a second chance to fix it later. And then, Peril wall itself. This is the part I would call the sweatiest, not just because it's hard, because of what's behind me at this point. That's a massive distance already climbed. If I fall here, none of that matters anymore. So here I made a decision, no more allowing myself quick, slightly risky calls like earlier. Every move here gets thought through. I actually exhale before each one. This wall doesn't forgive rushing. It's not just a straight climb. There are sleek patches, long reaches between holds that are really just cracks and thin edges you barely grip. Technical is the word I'd use. Maybe the most technical thing I've done in this game, for me at least.
Almost there. Come on.
Then it starts raining. That's about the worst thing that could happen right here. Actually, there is nothing to hold, and now the whole wall's asleep. I just stop, stand there and wait it out. Not actually willing to risk. A few times here, I almost fell. Properly almost. There is a moment where I genuinely think, that's it, this is over. And honestly, I don't know if I would try it again. Not after this much progress. My hands were actually sweating. This is exactly why I love this mod. Free solo gives you that one thing, nothing else does. No rope. If you fall, everything, every attempt, every hour, resets. So, you have to stay sharp. Everything was fine, slow and steady, checking my line constantly. But then I have to make a call. Actually, I planned to keep going right, but looking up, I couldn't tell eventually how I would actually cross over to the left side later. So I decided to switch. I just start moving left through these cracks.
Oh, yeah. Come on! Whoosh. It's freezing. Oh.
Almost on top of that, resources are draining now. Water, food, worms, all ticking down. And I know exactly what happens if they hit zero up here. I had actually timed this reasonably well going in. But I could feel the pressure building anyway.
Yeah.
Screen starts flashing red, then eventually you black out completely. And right around here, I rush. Just for a second, almost sleep because of it.
I'm freezing up.
And then the bridge. The animation triggers, the one that means the section's done, and I swear I was so happy in that moment. I can't even describe it properly. Technically, I climbed it exactly how I set out to. Could I make the route harder, longer next time? Probably. Might actually try. And at the end, when I pull up the full route map, the whole thing top to bottom, that's when it really hits. This grey wall and just this one long, continuous colored line tracing the entire path. Looking at that, all I could think was, that's insane. That's how far this actually was. In real time, not counting the video, this last successful attempt alone took close to an hour.